こんにちは。韓国のスウォン大学で教授しとるのであるくや。私の専門は社会言語学やねん。今日は坂上の田村麻呂の人種的アイデンティティについて話したいと思ってる。一部の人が彼は黒人や言ってるにゃ。ほんで、この動画を2言語でやろう思ったけど、時間がかかりすぎるから、主に英語で話すことにするわ。あと、奈良時代の古い日本の文献も考察してみるつもりやで。Hello, I am Professor Alaric Nordia. I'm a linguist, and today we are going to discuss the ethnic origins or the ethnic identity of a very famous person called Sakanoue no Tamuramaro. So that is what we are going to discuss, and let's get straight into it. So there is a myth that exists which says for a samurai to be brave, he must have a bit of black blood. Now, this is claimed to be a Japanese proverb or a Japanese saying, but it does not exist anywhere in Japan. Now, even if this did exist, the meaning would not be what people are claiming it to be. I will do another video specifically on what the etymology of such a term would be. But for now, all you need to know is that this term or this proverb does not and has never existed in Japan. So where does the idea that Tamuramaro was a black person actually come from? Well, the first recorded instance was by Alexander Francis Chamberlain, who was a Canadian anthropologist, but he was born in England. And he made this claim in 1911. Now, it is believed that he made this claim based off older letters. However, in his book, he does not state the source of his claims, but he nonetheless makes the claim. It says here, and we can cross the whole of Asia and find the Negro again, for when in far-off Japan, the ancestors of the modern Japanese were making their way northward against the Ainu, the aborigines of that country. The leader of their armies was Sakanoue Tamuramaro, a famous general and a Negro. So this is where the claim was first made by this anthropologist. A very wrong claim, but this is where it started and kind of snowballed from. Then later on, this statement was used by William Edward Bougainville du Bois in 1915. And after this point, numerous people start to make the same claim. Even though, remember, this is not historically accurate, it is an incorrect claim. So we need to really look at the origins of what the actual Japanese records say about this individual. Did they make the claim that he was black? Well, to find out, we have to go to a very ancient book, or actually correct collection of records called Shoku Nihongi. And this was actually, excuse me, written and recorded in 785. So that is the 4th year of Enryaku. And it is written in what is called Bungenbun. or in Korean they would call it mun on mun, and it is what is the book form, the written form of Chinese characters, ancient classical Chinese, which is wen, yan, wen. And this was used to communicate. So ancient Korean countries, ancient Japanese, and the ancient Chinese used this. And well, the Chinese did pronounce it. Excuse me. Well, the Chinese did pronounce it. It was not really written to be pronounced in Japanese or in Korean. It was merely used as a form of written communication. And during the Nara and the early Heian periods in Japan, a lot of official documents were written using this form of text. So we actually have the original Shoku Nihongi, which records the life of this person and the origins of this person. So this was written in 785, and we can read through in the old Japanese. I will try to read through it. It's not going to be perfect, but this is a kind of reconstruction of the text, how it may have sound in the Nara period when this was written. Uji eji toku yori sanmi kaneru shimo fusa no kami Sakanoue no okimi karita maru nado age mosu. Waga tomogara moto kore kokan rei tei no soson achi no ono nochi nari. Kano saku utsuri de gini itari, achi no ushi no oshie ni yorite ide yuki taiho ni tsukau. Tachimachi hodai no midare wo ete, sono katachi miyagi ni nitari. Koko ni kuni mura wo tate, それの人親を養い。後父兄を招き申すことは、我聞く、東の国に世襲あると。何ぞかしこに従い、帰らず帰らざる。もしくは長くこの頃に入れて、滅びに取られることを恐する。そくなり母弟を引き王国と通し、七世の民に及びて開花に至る。これ、すなわち、ホムダのスメラミコト、アミ土を治めたも恩よなり。ここにアーチのおもし立て祭るは、我が友急遽逮捕にあり、人々、男、女、すべての再現あり。しがき者はくだらと子の間に住む。心に猶予を抱くも、行く先知らず。深く祈りて、天神の恵みをこし者にし、使いを送りで招き申せと。 憂いをたまい、我が共に八原の宇治使わし、首の形に送り使いもす。それの人々、男の高部の使いに従い来て、月まかり荒れる。永久に国民とし、年を重ねよを粒に至る。今は諸国にある肝心、待てこるの後なり、我が友借りた丸など、先のその王族を失い、下人の卑族を復けて、願うは君を改めたもことを持ち、助の生をたまいたも。深け祈りて天神の御恵みに新たにするを願いもす。玉ひたくは成長に垂れて、いわゆる完売さらに暖かく、これだけもうことの絵を服が今年、我が友嫌った丸など、下いつくまでも改め、たくましくより表は申してまつる。みことのりをたまうを彼をやるす。坂の上、うちの蔵、平の田、お蔵、ふみ、つくり、ふみのぶ、谷、民、沙汰、山の口などの君、11世、16人助の生をたまいたむ。Okay, so that was the entire text in the Old Japanese. What does it mean? So I've translated here into modern English, obviously, and into modern Japanese, so that you can compare. The captain of the Right Guards, a courtier of junior third rank, and concurrently the governor of Shimousa province, Sakanoue no Ikimi Karitamaro, along with others, submitted a petition saying, "We, your humble subjects, are descendants of Achino Ou, that is, Prince Achi, the great-grandson of Emperor Ling of the later Han dynasty. When the Han dynasty fell and was succeeded by Wei, Prince Achi, following divine guidance, departed for Daifang Commandery. There, he unexpectedly discovered a miraculous treasure resembling a palace, which he interpreted as an auspicious sign. He then established a settlement, cultivated the populace, and nurtured the land. Later, he addressed his family and followers, saying, I have heard that in the eastern lands there is a wise and virtuous sovereign. Why should we not submit to and serve him? If we remain here for too long, I fear that calamity will befall us. With this in mind, he took his younger brother, Ukoku-toku, and 7 clans of his people, submitting and coming to the imperial court. This took place during the reign of Emperor Ojin. At that time, Prince Achi petitioned the emperor saying, My former residence was in Daifang, where the men and women are all highly skilled. Recently, they have been residing in the regions of Baekje and Goguryeo, but their hearts are uncertain, not knowing whether to stay or leave. I humbly beseech your gracious imperial favor to send an envoy to summon them. The emperor issued an edict dispatching Yatsuhashi no Miyatsuko, who went to those regions and conveyed the imperial order. Consequently, the people, men and women alike, all followed the envoy and came to Japan, becoming permanent imperial subjects. This practice has been continued for generations and remains so to this day. The Han people, or Karajin, now residing in various provinces, are also their descendants. However, we, Karitamaro and others, have lost the royal status of our ancestors and have been burdened with lowly surnames. We humbly request that our current surname, Ikimi, be changed and we be granted the surname Sukune. We earnestly beseech your heavenly grace to consider this matter. Should you grant us this favor, it would be like reviving cold ashes to warmth, or restoring a withered tree to bloom. With utmost sincerity, we present this petition to the court. The emperor granted their request. Sakuno Uchikura, Hirata, Okura, Fumi, Tsukuri, Fumibe, Tani, Min, Sata, and Yamaguchi, a total of 16 individuals from 11 clans, were granted the surname Sukune. Okay, so that is the entire contents of the Shoku Nihongi. So why were they granted this family name? Well, the emperor recognized that they had fled to Korea. Now, at that time there were actually 3 Korean kingdoms: Baekje, Goguryeo, and Shilla. The time that this was written, Shilla had already destroyed Baekje, and there was Balhae in the north, or Bohai as the Chinese would call it, and unified Shilla. But at the time that these events happened, there was Baekje and Goguryeo, which were very, very close in their relationship with the then ancient Japanese kingdoms. So the Emperor of Japan realized that, okay, these people are legitimate Han descendants. So the royal records would have been checked and this information would have been accurate, or they would not have been permitted to have the surname they had. Surnames are extremely important in Asian cultures because at that time there were caste systems in place. So Tamuramaro was a Japanese man who had verifiable Han Chinese, and we can say perhaps Baekje or Goguryeo ancestors, if indeed there had been any intermarriage that had occurred. So what was his ethnicity? Well, it wasn't black, it was a mixture of East Asian heritage. If you want to learn more about different subjects, I have written a book in both English and Japanese that talks about the history of Yasuke. Thank you for watching, and please consider subscribing to the channel, and I will attempt to make more videos on interesting subjects.